our four-legged members because there are no boundaries. Okay?
So what we'll try and do is we work in a two-member team. You have a licensed professional counselor and you have an equine professional. So as an equine professional, you're going to be looking for what's going on with the horses, how the horses are behaving, different shifts, patterns. And as the counselor, I'm watching the human interaction either between humans or with the horses.
That's much faster than we anticipated.
Sometimes things happen a little quicker than we think.
All right, well, let's now.
Oh, you're fine. How's that? So we'll get you across the board. And I'll go to that.
Go, Chipper! He's in the river.
Nice to see you.
Good evening, everyone. I hope that you all had an opportunity to be outside earlier this evening, not only for the fresh air, but also to see Ellie and her horses and some of her staff out there. Hope you were able to learn something. I know my husband learned something, and that is not to be late for a Rotary function, or his wife will volunteer him to cross rivers. So, anyways, tonight I have the honor as a board member of EquiTeam to introduce an amazing person and an amazing friend, Ellie Williams. She is the Executive Director of EquiTeam Support Services and lead mental health therapist. She has been working with EquiTeam since its inception of 2007. Prior to this, she worked with the Office of Children, Youth, and Family Services, ensuring the safety of children that have been subjected to child abuse and neglect. In addition to being a mental health therapist, Ellie is an avid horsewoman and enjoys any free time she has to be in the saddle. EquiTeam has been a true passion for Ellie, blending her love of horses and wishes to improve the lives of others. She works endless hours for this small nonprofit providing therapy for the children and families served. Ellie also oversees the everyday running of the operation, from seeking grants to fundraising. And speaking of fundraising, on October 17th, we are having a 5K, 10K walk run, and I will be passing out some information later on about that. So please, welcome my amazing friend, the amazing woman that helps our community in so many ways, Ellie Williams.
I don't know how I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Well, good evening, everybody, and I can't thank you enough for having us here today. Getting the horses ready this morning and this afternoon. It was so much fun knowing that they could come and hang out with some kids and for us to be able to show you what it is that we do. Because what it is that we do is kind of difficult to explain. You're like, what is equine-assisted psychotherapy? Is it horses? Are horses getting therapy? Or are they riding them? Are they, what is all this stuff? So the way I like to say it is, equine-assisted psychotherapy is a mental health therapy. It's not therapeutic riding or anything like that. It's a mental health therapy, just like you would have in an office therapy, traditional office therapy. But we have horses involved, and those horses help in the emotional growth and learning. And of course, I started talking, and I'm not even close to where I was supposed to start. So, and I said earlier, it's not about horsemanship or teaching you to ride, and that's why 100% of the work that we do with our children at EquiTeam is 100% on the ground in our equine-assisted psychotherapy and learning program, because it is about them. It's about the clients. It's about their journey. It's not about me teaching them how to ride, how to sit on a horse, how to steer. It's about them and their experience and interaction with the horses. EquiTeam, we established EquiTeam in 2007, and we work with primarily with at-risk youth and families in need in York County and surrounding areas. Because it has horses involved, which kind of adds to the safety issue, we have two members of our team, and if anybody saw us outside today, we have a mental health professional and we have an equine specialist. And the equine specialist is looking at the horse. What's the horse doing? What shifts are happening? What patterns are happening? So we're going to relate that and use that in metaphors to what the clients are doing and how the clients, so it's kind of a neat thing, and we're always kind of chatting with each other what we're seeing and kind of having that plan in our heads as to what's going on in that session. Because then when we meet with the client afterwards and we kind of process through, we kind of have a plan in our mind. And as I said earlier, usually it changes because the client will have a completely different experience from what we observed. And that's okay, because it's about them. So the demonstration earlier, we did an equine assisted learning session because we had people that were just volunteers, like poor Mr. Marino, who was late and had to be volunteered for him. But so we were not going to go to that deeper level. So that's the difference between equine assisted learning and equine assisted psychotherapy. So when you're doing psychotherapy, you're going to that deep gut, inside, as deep as you can be, level of processing. And the learning aspect is more just that communication and interaction and how to work together and teamwork. So that's a little bit, I just wanted to share that because there is that difference between equine assisted learning and equine assisted psychotherapy. So the activity we did, we crossed some rivers, and it was about that process of how they got from one side to the other. And how cool is it to then be able to talk about that and relate that to your life. And we had some wonderful and insightful processing. It's really neat when you're doing something like that with a 4-year-old and they're going, huh? What am I doing? And you say there's no right or wrong. Give it a try. Here's a kid that's never had to try anything in his life because it's been so controlled or beaten or abused or neglected that it doesn't know how to think on its own. So how cool is that they get to then try this challenge and work with a horse, and the two of them together get across that river. And that's where it's really neat because then the child might get together with that horse and say, that horse is my best friend. Well, what made him your best friend? Because he was with me. What is a best friend to you? I don't know, I don't have one. So what a wonderful experience that they can connect with a horse, they can relate to a horse, and then they can take that out into their everyday life. So as I said before, our primary population is working with at-risk youth and families in need. We work with children that have experienced horrible things, significant trauma, whether it's physical abuse, sexual abuse, being locked in the closet, being neglected, not even being fed, having to steal food, just horrible things. But we work with the Office of Children, Youth and Families. A lot of times, children will get attachment disorganization from this. They don't know how to attach to an adult. They don't know how to have a relationship or a healthy relationship. So we work on that. Let's build a relationship with the horse. And how much, it's just much more, it's just easier than having a person with you and being across from you. So that the kids do really well on learning how to attach and having that connection. We also work with individuals that have ongoing mental health issues, such as maybe it's ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder. No, I'm not going to get that horse. I don't want to go get it. Can I go to the bathroom? So we work with some pretty tough kids. We have parent-child conflict. We work with the parents and the children in session. Kids on the autism spectrum disorder. What a wonderful opportunity for kids with sensory issues to work with horses. And I'll add a little bit about autism in a little bit. And post-traumatic stress. That's one of our biggest issues that we have with the clients that we see. Whether it's the sexual abuse, physical abuse of a child that we're working with, or if it's a veteran returning from war with PTSD. Working with the horses works. It is life-changing, it is powerful, it's an amazing experience, and it helps them work through their complex trauma. They are the intermediary, and it allows the client to fully experience the challenges that they are facing. And day after day, I'm so just amazed at how powerful the horses can be, of just having a client in tears and sobbing and really getting to that deep place, and having a horse come up and having them put their chin on their shoulder, and just sitting, a 1,200-pound animal, sitting with the chin on the shoulder of this person sobbing. It's just unbelievable. And then processing that with them. What was that like? I had a support. I had an angel on my shoulder. Just different experiences of what that was like. I know I could do it because that horse is there for me. This week, we were planning on painting a horse as a school bus because we had a client that was absolutely terrified of getting on a school bus because school's starting back up and that's pretty scary. So we are really creative. We live outside the box, so we're trying to come up with some pretty cool stuff. And I'm completely not going off of what I wrote, so I'm trying One thing I really, and all the businessmen out there will be really pleased because I have some statistics, which is, I find that's really helpful. We run our facility like an outpatient clinic. So we have intakes, we have treatment assessments, we have pre-test and post-test outcome measures. The county likes those as well. We maintain an 85% success rate of clients completing treatment with improved mental health and behavioral stability. That is just brilliant. It's amazing. And I'm always so proud to share that. And the number, after we're in our 9th year, never changes. We always have that success because it's so powerful. They're experiencing it, they're living it, and they're having that life-changing experience. So, with that being said, because of the successes that we had with our individuals, our groups, our families that we serve currently, we're like, we want to expand this. How else can we reach out to our community? We want to go into the schools. We want to have schools come out here. I hear all the time from children, I'm getting bullied. I hate school. I don't want to go to school. So many different things about school because that's a really stressful environment, especially for middle school kids. And so we're like, let's go into the schools. Every school I approached were on board. They wanted to collaborate with us. And every time, every single school is like, we don't have the funding. We have had funding cuts, budget cuts, we don't have the funding, but we want to work with you. Let's find a way to work. So I reached out to local corporations and I reached out to the Rotary Club of York and the Charitable Grant Fund. And you guys are so awesome. And you awarded us $9,000 to contact. I can now contact those schools and I can reach out to them and say, we are covered for our funds for the next school year, and your kids can come out and have groups with our program. And I can't thank you guys enough for that. Because, yes, absolutely, thank you so much. So I am now able to reach out to the schools and make that connection and meet with those special education and learning support classrooms. We are focusing on middle school students in the learning and emotional support classrooms, and I could meet with those teachers and talk with them and say, what are your students' needs? What do you need with this particular classroom? Is it bullying prevention? Is it behavioral issues? Is it communication? Is it all of the above? Because each school that we work with, we will have a specific program that meets their needs. We're not going to just have a cookie cutter 8-week course. So, and I just can't say how excited the schools are to then be able to have the time to then put the funding into their budgets, hopefully in the following year. So, okay, I'm almost, sorry, I'm getting it. So, we are a 501c3, and we're registered as a charitable organization in Pennsylvania and Maryland. We may be a small nonprofit. I think we have like 5-6 people that work with us, but we pack a heck of a lot of lunch. And we work long hours, and we're totally passionate about it. And while I'm talking about that, why don't we give a round of applause to all of our staff, and Katie and Mrs. H and Mr. H, and our wonderful board members. And I'm going to start by because they work hours upon hours. We're in the barn at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we don't finish until 8 o'clock at night, and because we love what we do. We have contracts with Children's Services, Juvenile Probation, Children's Home of York. We worked really hard in getting these contracts and keeping these contracts. But we also work hard in fundraising and grant writing so we can maintain our financial stability. As I was writing my speech, I was remembering we have our gala every other year, and because it's hard to ask money from people for money all the time, so we do it every other year. And we have it at the farm of Rotarian Bill Carter, his beautiful farm out by Central High School. And I just wanted to share that because he's a pretty cool guy. And we also do our walk run, and we have that on October 17th at South Branch Farms in Seven Valleys, PA. So before I finish up for today, it's a little bit difficult because our main program is our equine-assisted psychotherapy, which is what we shared earlier, and hopefully you guys understand a little bit more about what we do. We have 2 smaller programs that I feel that I need to mention because the autism piece, I think, is so important. But it makes it a little confusing because we do actually do a little bit of riding in the autism program. That's why it has to be a completely separate program, because our main program is, as I said, 100% on the ground. So I don't want to confuse everybody. But we have our autism program is, we utilize the horse boy method. If anyone's ever read The Horse Boy or watched the documentary, we use Rupert's method. And there's riding involved because the movement of the horse is so therapeutic for children on the autism spectrum. It releases oxytocin, which is a feel-good hormone, and it helps them relax themselves and have the sensory issues reduced. So we have the autism program as well. Also, in addition to those two programs, I am working with a lot of children with attachment issues. So there's no attachment specialist in the area, so I was like, well, I'll become one. Why not? In my spare time. And I'm just finishing up becoming an attachment specialist. So some work I do have office sessions, because working with children right at the beginning, working through the significant and horrible things and the complex trauma, we do that in the office. Because a lot of children that I work with are probably about 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. And it's hard to kind of keep their attention when we're talking about some things that are pretty tough. So we start in the office, but then what we do is we go out with the horses pretty quickly, and we're able to interact, have the experience, and have them learn it's okay to interact. It's okay to learn how to connect with people, connect with horses, rather than sitting in a closet or sitting in your room, being locked in the room, playing with the roaches or the ants or whatever you might have find to play with. So we have our 2 smaller programs in addition to our equine-assisted psychotherapy. I cannot thank you guys enough for having us here today. It was so exciting when Bert reached out to be able to share what we do. It is kind of hard to explain, so I'm glad. Thank you for your patience, and we'll keep working hard, and I'm really enjoying my time at Rotary, and thank you so much.